So today we will be talking about how we are going to proceed in the next steps in making our new baseline battery. Forgive me, I had a little bit of fun with the filter on the Brio webcam. I've talked over the materials that I'm going to be using in the new battery, and I left off one by mistake, and that is this stuff. This is what I'm going to be trying to use as the separator. It is a special material called CellGuard, C-E-L-G-A-R-D, and it has micro pores in it. It's like a plasticky material, very, very strong, but it has little micro pores in it so the electrolyte can get through. And I'll be using this as the separator material. I may try, after I have my new baseline, where I'm trying to build it as best as I possibly can, then I'll try replacing things. And I'll go back. In the past, the best I've had for a separator was tracing paper. That worked very strong, and it was very permeable to the liquid. Other people have used some things as simple as paper towels, kitchen towels. But I'm going to try CellGuard and see if that gives me a really good reaction with everything else. The first steps we need to do is to prepare the electrodes. And to do that, I'm going to take some aluminum foil, and I want to strengthen it. The aluminum foil as it is too easily ripped. And aluminum foil comes in two sides. There is a shiny side and a duller side. A little hard to show on camera. I'm going to take the duller side and I'm going to put strengthening tape on it, the shipping tape on it. And I do that so that it won't rip as hard. So I flatten it down on the page, and I get just standard old shipping tape. In this case it's Scotch, but most brands will probably be fine. I want to strengthen it, and in the past I did something where I cut the electrodes out, then I tried to apply the shipping tape. That was a little fiddly because you have to get it just right. I've learned, while the foil is big, apply the shipping tape, then you can cut out along the edges of the foil, and you get a great cut. You have a great line to cut on, and it's nice and clean. Everything works really well. So I'm going to put 4 strips of tape down, and then cut them out. And that will give me 4 electrodes or 2 batteries worth. When I apply the tape, I do it like this. I start, sorry about the sound. I take the tape, I attach it at one end. You don't want too many bubbles, and so I slowly work across a little at a time and get the tape solid. So now it's hard to see, of course, but there aren't too many bubbles. It's nice and such. So I'm going to do that for 3 more pieces of tape and then cut out the electrodes. I'll be back in just a bit. Now I've got my 4 reinforced strips. Another thing that helps is by doing this, by doing the tape on the back of the aluminum foil, you are also helping to keep it from crinkling as you're working it. It'll stay flatter, and hopefully that will mean a better contact for the battery. I'm now going to take a template that I made before. There we go. 100 millimeters long, 49 millimeters wide, which is the same as the tape, and 2 millimeters thick. So I'm going to take this template now and cut the strips down to size so that just so I get the right size electrode and it's consistent. So I'll use this, so I'll end up with 4 pieces of electrode this size. That way I'll got the right stuff. Then we'll proceed to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to clean the pre-made electrodes so that the ink can adhere to them very well and get a good electrical contact. We don't want any of the oils from manufacturing on it. So here we have the 4 electrodes, 2 for each battery. And I'm just going to use some rubbing alcohol to clean it off. There we go. So I just put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on each one, and then I'll use a lint-free cloth to wipe it off, and then let it dry, and then we'll apply the ink. Just a nice easy cleaning. This is brand new foil, and we don't want any oils on the foil because the oil is an insulator. The foil that's towards me, the edge of the foil that's towards me, I'm going to use to connect to the outside world. The edge that is farthest away from me will be the edge that has the ink on it for the conduction to make the battery. Alright, so we're going to let these dry for a bit and be back and apply some ink. I've always had a little bit of a problem with applying ink evenly using brushes. And so I'm using a technique that I learned about from Robert Murray Smith that I really like. He used threaded rods. This is an M4, metric 4 threaded rod. This is an M14 threaded rod. So this makes a thin coating, this makes a thicker coating. We'll be using the M4 today. And I use that to push the ink around. I tried it on a sample piece, and I got this, a wonderful, even coating. I just love this coating. These rods were stainless steel, but they're cheap. They're like a couple bucks, so it was wonderful. A nice, inexpensive rod, and a wonderfully even coating, which I really think will help the battery to work well. I've marked on a piece of paper the distance that I want to cover in the ink. So I will be putting down a line of ink and then rolling it out like that. I'll show you with one of them, and then I'll do the other 3 off camera. So we're using the special ink from Robert Murray Smith from Forward Working Group. And here we go. So I'm just going to put a line of ink on this behind the line of where I want it to be. I'm just putting down a line of ink. Okay. And now I'm just going to roll it out. Okay, that didn't quite work. I need a little more ink. Okay. No problem. There we go. I see, it needs to get the whole base of it clean. And look at how even that is. Look at how great that is. It's nice and even, giving me a nice coating. I'm going to add a little bit more ink because I want a nice even coating across the whole thing. But boy, this is working really well. I really like this technique. There we go. Nice even coating across the whole thing. So I'm going to let that dry. And that will be the base coating for the battery. So here are the 4 strips after a little bit of drying. You'll notice this one is a little bit darker, and that's because I had to redo it. I made it from scratch because I tested a strip too early. So I've got these 4 strips now. I've got the 4 electrodes. The next step will be to create my carbons and then to coat a thicker coat of the same ink on it, put the carbons on top, squish them on in, and create the battery. So that'll do it for this video. But next video we should be able to have some carbon action going and have a lot more to show you. Thank you.